Good morning, everyone. It is Friday, best day of the week, second best day of the week. Welcome into the number one Group of Five college football podcast in the world, the Group of Five guys. Our mission is to be the voice for the Group of Five football programs, the voice that the mainstream sports media just absolutely refuses to be. We need your help to do that. We need you to follow us on all the social media platforms at Group of Five guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel, leave a 5-star rating and a review. Most importantly, tell your family and friends all about us. Or you can download the Varsity app for free and listen to the show on there. On this episode, we're going to talk about Jeff's private jet experience overnight on a Thursday night. Unbelievable. We're going to talk about those Wednesday and Thursday games. Not a lot of good games during the week this week. And then we're going to preview some hopefully big-time games for Friday and Saturday. There'll be plenty more. Hope you enjoy the show. Have you had it from somebody born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, at a tailgate? Doubt it.
I said Michael Pratt has got to show up and play, and boy, did he. 394 yards, 4 touchdowns, 48 rushing yards on the ground, and another touchdown.
Projected getting drafted between the first and third round. Like, that's incredible.
That's impressive.
Yeah, the wide receivers are absolutely stacked for the Group of Five.
Yeah, I really appreciate you do for the Group of Five programs, and I think it's great. I think we should get more of this. But you guys are on the forefront of this, and
so I'm thankful for this. I'm glad that you're talking about the Group of Five because I think they get overlooked.
But it's a ton of fun to watch a guy go to the NFL from a Nevada or a Colorado State or a Middle Tennessee or an App State, and fans follow that kid.
Good morning, Jeff Murphy. Not a lot of sleep. Really over the last about 7 weeks, but especially overnight. I mean, I think I'm running on about 5.5. You're running on like 2 at best.
Yeah, I got about 2 hours.
It's not bad. The key is getting an even number.
Yeah.
That way you're not woken up in your during your REM sleep. If you're at the even number, that's why you can take like a little 20-minute nap and feel real rejuvenated versus sometimes you sleep for like an hour and you're like, I'm more tired than I was before.
Yeah. No, it was an awesome experience yesterday, and I'd probably be more tired, but I have my Deca Grey coffee in my Troy Trojans cup here. Nice. Go ahead, get the plug going.
Well, yeah, Deca Grey Coffee, as always, sponsor of this show. Make sure you support the people that are supporting our mission. Visit decagray.com. Get the Group of Five guys game day dark roast custom blend just for the Group of Five guys, just for your game day. Everything on there, roast to order. So when you click that purchase button, then they roast it, then they put it in the bag, then they send it to you. Use our promo code GOFG for 10% off and free shipping. decagray.com.
It's saving me this morning, ladies and gentlemen. And just to give a brief update, I posted on my Twitter yesterday. Got the opportunity to hop on a nice little private plane down to Ruston, Louisiana to go watch our Blue Raiders. Look, Sprouse, I don't have the funds for something like that. Hopefully one day me and you, pal, can be riding around on a plane like that all the time, but we're not quite there yet. Got the opportunity through our alma mater, the Blue Raiders, to ride down there with a small group of people and watch our Blue Raiders take on Louisiana Tech. Wish it was a better outing for us personally, but it was an awesome experience. Got to tour the facilities, which I had done 2 years ago, and it was just a really cool experience. Got the behind the scenes treatment. They've made a few upgrades since I was there last, but they got that end zone building just like the Blue Raiders are going to build, and got to ride on the rental car, nice little Yukon on the way to the stadium. Not a police
Wow.
escort, though. No police escort. But no, it was a cool experience. Got to go on the game pregame, on the field pregame, watch pregame warm-ups. Did my calf and glute check. There are a couple guys out there that look like they're pretty good Sprouse. But again, man, you know, our alma mater's in a tough spot.
It's tough, isn't it?
We're rebuilding.
It's tough, dude.
We're rebuilding. I'm not going to make any excuses. You got to show up and be ready to play. We're rough in the trenches right now. When you don't have an offensive line, don't have much of a defensive line, everyone else on those parts of the team suffer. Everybody behind them. And, you know, kids are out there battling, trying to do their best. But, man, shout out to the quarterback for Louisiana Tech. He was like their third stringer, man. He put up like 200 yards, over 200 yards, 5 touchdown passes for that man.
Yeah.
So shout out to him.
It was bad. I mean, physically just whipped up front on both sides of the ball, and you can't cover anybody on the back end. 3rd and long, you can't get off the field. You know, Vadiato, the poor kid, is
running for his life.
I mean, he's just throwing up prayers, and you know, crazy enough, I feel like he's actually so good, and Amari Kelly especially they're so good. Like he's actually getting guys are getting open with what limited time that Vadiato has. But man,
I mean, he
it's
made
a
a Sprouse. Vadiato made a couple throws on the run that were incredibly difficult. Like damn good balls that I don't know too many quarterbacks can make. But again, we talk about all the times, you can't turn the ball over. You know what I mean? And the pick that he had nothing to do with him. Hit Amari Kelly on a slant, hit him in the hands, ball popped up, was an interception, and then they had another fumble. And then every time they had a turnover like that, credit to Louisiana Tech and Evan Bullock, they went down and scored. And good teams capitalize on turnovers. You just can't turn it over. We say it all the time. If you can win the turnover battle, if you can win time of possession, you're going to be in the game at the end. If you don't, you're not going to be able to win a lot of games, especially when, you know you have some issues up front. You got injuries. You got to play clean football. And if you don't, it's going to be hard to win.
Yeah, you know, and again, I don't want to spend all day on middle because we always can do it. But I did find it funny, Jeff, because you were at the game, so I'm sure you didn't get as much social media play. But I was scrolling, watching the games, and a lot of people now are calling for different people's heads at Middle Tennessee. And one of the things I saw was, you know, they didn't give Derek Mason a chance with this schedule by starting out with 3. You know, for sure, quote unquote, for sure losses, and they mentioned Duke, Memphis, and Ole Miss. And you know, my thought on that was, oh, buddy, the schedule's been like this for 20 years. That's why when we were telling you, it was actually when the average fan was complaining that Stockstill was only winning 7 or 8 games, and that, they're so happy to be bowl eligible. Well, yeah, when you're given 3. When you're given 3 losses, essentially handed to you to start the year, then winning 7 or 8 games is very impressive. And the way that our athletic program is right now at Middle Tennessee, if you win 7 or 8 games, that's a damn good job by your players and your coach. And that wasn't good enough for everybody, and they wanted to blame Stockstill. That's fine. Maybe it was time. Maybe, you know, whatever. He'd been there a long time, and there wasn't 7 or 8 wins the last 2 years. There was like 4. So whatever, man, I get it. But a little part of me, just a little part of me, while I like Derek Mason, and I think he's the right man, I really do. And I think he can turn it around, especially if he's given the resources that they at least started to give him. Hopefully they continue to give him. I hope people maybe be willing to acknowledge that, you know, maybe it was bigger than this. Maybe it was a couple levels above the head football coach on the totem pole. But I don't think they will admit it because people are prideful and people won't admit when they were wrong or anything like that.
100%.
But it's just unfortunate what we've got going on. I hate it. I hate it that it seems like the downfall for Middle has started, you know, as soon as you start getting games on TV and now we're really bad. And it is. I mean, again, I'll never tell anybody that I was a good player, but it's embarrassing.
Yeah. And the thing is they got to get ready to go because in 5 days they play on Tuesday night. We're in the October slate of Conference USA where you have these midweek games and you go from a Thursday night. You can basically wash Friday as far because you're not getting back until 2-3 o'clock in the morning with the team. Friday's a wash. You got practice Saturday, Sunday, Monday's a walkthrough, and now you're Tuesday at home against Kennesaw State. So it's a quick turnaround, and they lost a couple more guys last night. So they're going to have to figure it out because Kennesaw is hungry for a win. Then you have the rest of the midweek slate. Jacksonville State, Sprouse. I mean, they figured they figured something out now. Tyler Huff run that offense.
Yeah, well, if you remember last year, there's a couple teams that had success when they made a quarterback change. Especially last year, a lot of them went to they went from a veteran pro style guy to like a younger dual threat guy. They had a lot of success. Now, Jacksonville State, they've kind of all their guys are pretty dual threat, but they found something with Huff, and he doesn't turn it over as much. He could throw it a little bit better. But I'll tell you who I've been impressed with, and that's the running back, Trey Stewart. This little combo of Tyler Huff and Trey Stewart in the run game is tough to stop. I mean, Trey Stewart the other night, 21 carries for 118, 2 touchdowns. My microphone unplugged. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, you're good. And
I can't hear you at all.
He's been incredible. I mean, he's gotten the opportunity, gets the ball in his hands, and you see a clear difference with his speed and everybody else on the field. I mean, he is just running by guys. And the reason why those running lanes are so big is because they are concerned with Tyler Huff's ability to run the ball. And when you're running that zone read, that option offense, if you have a quarterback that can make the reads consistently, it makes it so much more difficult on the defense because they literally don't know where to go. And then you have the running threat as a quarterback. He basically acts like an extra blocker. So if you dedicate the guy that basically is put in the 2-on-1 situation where, honestly, as long as the quarterback makes the right read, whichever way he goes, he's wrong, he starts to become unsure and slow play everything. And that's where you get these big gash plays by the running back or the quarterback. And Trey Stewart, man, he's been fun to watch.
Well, and the way that Conference USA has looked, the way Liberty's looked early, the way Sam Houston has looked early, the way Jacksonville State is starting to look now, the way Western's looked, this is going to be a tighter race than I think anybody thought. And it's fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch. I'll tell you, man, it seems like in every conference this year in particular, outside of the MAC, there's a little less parity. I feel like, I feel like all of these conferences are looking a little bit more top heavy than they've looked in the past. The Mountain West, the Conference USA, and the American in particular. The other, the Sun Belt, I think, is still a pretty balanced conference. And the MAC is still pretty balanced, but very interesting to watch this Conference USA race shake out. And by the way, Jeff, I just want to tell you, I'm not going to let it slide what you said a couple minutes ago. Last show, Monday we got on here, and you would have thought I had hit the lottery, you guys. Sprouse went to Fripp Island, a tax bracket, this and that, the golf cart. He goes on vacation. I mean, God forbid you take a vacation with your family. And we come back to you on a Thursday, the private jet, the Yukon. Let me guess it was a black Yukon.
Yeah, it was black.
I mean, this guy is presidential. I never knew that the royal family of Murfreesboro got this kind of treatment. And now I know. And I can't believe it.
Look, full transparency.
I'm happy for you. I'm not jealous at all.
Full transparency. Part of the reason why we started this thing was to figure out why, the dysfunction somewhat in our alma mater. And as we've done more of this and traveled and met people and seen facilities and met ADs and presidents of universities, like we both have logged a lot of this information in trying to help, our alma mater and MTSU improve and give feedback. And I'm on some different boards and, on the NIL collective, trying to help with that and steer that ship. So, I get asked to do certain things, and it's been awesome. It's been awesome to do, and it's been a great experience. And as long as they want my input and opinion, I'll give them my honest truth about what's going on, whether they like it or not. I'm going to give it if they ask. So when they ask me to go on trips, I'll be like, if I can swing it, I'm going to. But Sprouse, you know what? I'm here. I hadn't missed a show.
Yeah,
I hadn't pushed a show back. We've been committed to this thing. And, our great fans deserve everything that I've got. And damn it, I'm going to give it to them.
I agree. Well, I will tell you this, because I have, a bit of an apology to make, because I'm sure my screen is glitching during this show. I got to tell you, not only am I technologically inept, I come home yesterday, Jeff, and I got some underground contractor digging up mine and my neighbor's yard. So I don't know what they're doing, but I think they're relaying the fiber optics or something like that, or 5G or something, whatever the other one they're doing is. So I'm watching my internet speed go up and down like crazy, but that is partly, I think, because they got a ditch witch out there digging up my front yard. I was trying to win fall yard of the year. Okay. For the HOA, I had stripes in the yard. I got my Vinca flowers are blooming. I got my lantanas on this side. I got butterflies. I got hummingbirds. I got it going. I got it all going. And now I got a big ditch, a big hole in the yard. And I know they're not going to, I know they're not going to properly fill it back. Like, the way to do it is you keep the roots attached and then you just kind of flip it back over. They're not going to do that. I'm going to have a strip of Georgia red clay for the next 6 months, I'm sure. But anyway, we got to talk about some other games, because one of the other reasons we started the group of 5 guys, and I tweeted about this last night, was one of the worst moments. I think you'd agree with this, Jeff, in Middle Tennessee player history is we go to Atlanta and smoke Georgia Tech. Okay. And I looked just to make sure, and we came off that win. We were, now I'm forgetting. I believe we were 4-1 after that win. And funny enough, our only loss was the opener to an FCS team. Very good FCS team, McNeese State. Yeah. So we go and smoke Georgia Tech. We're 4-1. We're coming back home for a big Sun Belt at the time conference game against La Monroe. I don't know if La Monroe likes to be called La Monroe. ULM. And in our mind, and Monroe that year was really good. Monroe that year they either just got done beating Auburn or almost beating Auburn, or they beat Baylor. They had a Power 4 win as well. And we thought, hell yeah, dude, we're back. The Iron Skillet is going to be absolutely rocking. And we do the Raider walk, and we're like, okay, not a bad tailgate as per usual. Still to this day, the tailgates are pretty good. Then we come out of the and there's like 12,000 maybe. And it was I don't think fans realize how much of a letdown that is.
Huge.
When it's like that. And so I want to say I give a shout out to the James Madison faithful, because they come off of what in their mind is a bad loss. Monroe is good. Seems to be a good team this year, but for James Madison standards, that's a bad loss. For the fan standards, that's a bad loss. They get a new head coach. It's a little blemish on his early record. But Thursday night comes around and they have a home game during the week also, by the way. And that place is electric. And it's the opposite effect, right? Because now, and I know James Madison, there's a few of them, James Madison, App State, Boise State, like their crowd's going to be there no matter what. But it's like, you come off a bad loss and you're like, hey, we're back home now. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just it's amazing the energy and the momentum that can create on either, for either side. Right there. And shout out to James Madison. And listen, they put on a defensive clinic last night. 181 total yards for Coastal, and about half of that was on the very first quarter when Vasco threw a dime down the sideline, and I thought, oh, here we go. This is about to be a shootout. And Coastal didn't do anything offensively after that. I mean, they rushed James Madison. This was all these weeknight games were a offensive line versus these were trenches games. We talked about Middle getting whipped up front physically. Talked about Jack State running the ball all over the place. James Madison ran for 222 yards as a team. They were firing, and it's kind of what you said on the Wednesday show. What would worry you for Coastal is James Madison's, because they lost.
Yep.
And they are going to come out and they are going to play, on fire. And they did. They absolutely did.
And that's the testament to a great team. You're going to have games where you don't play well and you might lose one. And they did to Monroe, and not in credit to Monroe. They played well. But you got to show up. How are you going to respond to that when you come out? You're at home. And when Middle played them 2 years ago, I did the radio, and I was there at that opener. James Madison's home field advantage is real. Like, the crowd is cracking. The fans are live. The student section is rocking. We got to go catch a game there. And, we've given, me personally probably, given James Madison, some slack, really just because of their fan base on social media. To me, this proves that they are one of the top teams in the Sun Belt. I think they're the favorite in the East at this point. Barnett, I've seen enough sample size on him. Great player. He knows how to run this offense. He protects the ball. He's able to run it as well. They have skill position guys that can go make plays. Then their defense. I mean, holding Coastal to 7 points. I think Coastal has been one of the better teams in this conference. And again, they have good pieces on offense too. You hold them to 7 points, 102 passing yards, but two picks. Like, that's a dominant performance on both sides of the ball for James Madison. And I talked about Jacob Dobbs, the linebacker that came over with Chesney at Holy Cross. 9 tackles last night, 3, just a great performance. He's leading that defense. He's an extra coach on the field. It seems like they're hitting their stride at the right time. And we might have a pretty big matchup coming up in the Sun Belt East. But we got to see how it happens Saturday.
We already have one in the East, and we might have another one next week if we get it. But hey, I wanted to bring up something because there was a little bit of a momentum change in that game. Coastal gets a stop in the red zone. They're about to hold them to a field goal, and then their player stands over the guy and taunts him, gets a flag, 1st and goal, half the distance to the goal. And we've got a phenomenon in unsportsmanlike right now across the country. We've got these players that, have you seen the new brandishing a weapon penalty that all the defensive backs are getting? I mean, I'm all for a little trash talk. I'm all for in high school and a little bit in JUCO when I was still a good player. I was a phenomenal trash talker. I'm all for that. But the taunting and just the over the top celebrations after everyday plays,
a bad throw by the quarterback,
not anything. And then you have the some guys are pulling up their shirt, showing them the heat in the waistband there. And then others are, the one guy, I think it was South Carolina, did a full blown, spazzed out doing a machine gun at the guy. But Jeff, then I see on Twitter, we have youth Pop Warner players doing this stuff. Jeff, it blows my mind. I had some coaches. My Pee Wee coach was like a Boar's Head truck driver. He's just regular guys. You know what I mean? Blue collar guys. And he was a hard ass. He probably had done some time. He probably had did some things. We would have ran for a week for anything even remotely close to these things. And we got Pee Wee football now. Have you seen these guys? They're in the handshake line after the game with a belt, like belts to ass kind of thing to the other team.
Really?
But yes, I'm talking, buddy. I was playing. Look, like I know some of the I had to play some down at some of these teams, like in some rough spots, and there was fights in the crowd, and there was all kinds of stuff and all that. But like these are like 8, 9, 10-year-old kids doing this stuff. So look, number one, coaches, parents, you got to stop it right there. You can't do it, because then they grow up and they just have no concept of sportsmanship or anything like that. But also at the same time, you college kids, you college coaches, the officials are throwing flags, and these guys are still so stupid that they do it. But like the kids are getting it from y'all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you set the example.
And then look, I go to my Dolphins. You get Tyreek Hill. The guy gets arrested, and his first touchdown celebration is like mocking himself getting arrested. Like, come on, guys.
Yeah, it's bad.
I'm not saying everybody's got to be a role model and you got to be perfect. And again, I'm all for like I go back to remember when Randy Moss did the fake moon celebration, and oh my God, you would have thought he shot somebody. And now we got this stuff going on, and you're like, hey, where's Joe Buck to like say something about this, about these dumb penalties? And it's honestly, man, it's driving me crazy. I know I'm getting old. I know I'm a dad now, so this stuff is like a little more serious to me. But man, what are we doing? Again, for the players, like, it's a penalty. Like, how stupid do you have to be to do stuff like that?
You literally can do most whatever else you want. Like, just stop it. Just cut it out. Do something funny or do something, unique. That's
or
cool.
Do something with your own. Go celebrate with your own teammates.
Go celebrate with your teammates. What a concept.
Put down. Well, Jeff. Teammates, this all goes together in my mind. I know you've always had selfish players and selfish acts and stuff like that, but you could go back to remember the Titans. What team?
Oops, sorry. Real quick, Shea Gordon goes, Barry Sanders would score and hand the ball to the ref. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm all for the celebration with your team, but again, now. What team? Like, I just got here a week ago. I'm the starting quarterback now, and I'm going to leave after the season's over. I don't go to class. Y'all are paying me $100,000. You're not paying anybody else $100,000. Right. I mean, you're going to get more and more of this. You're going to get more and more of this. But hey, man, who am I, Jeff? I'm just a football fan. Anyway, we had UTEP and Western last night. I'm going to tell you, this game got close for a minute. Right after halftime, UTEP returns a kick, the opening kick for 100 yards, and then they kick a field. Then they get stopped. Then they kick a field goal. They cut it to 10. And then Western on the next drive had a big play. They go down and score. UTEP is in a big time rebuild mode, and they were talking about it a little bit on the broadcast. Like this is a rebuild play by play. They were saying. And Scotty Walden, what he's trying to do is build a culture. And, to me, although the score looks like they got blown out, there was moments in that game where I felt like you could tell UTEP was getting better. And it's hard to look at like that when now you're 0-5 or 0-6 and you're getting blown out by by the top teams in your conference. But again, there's other programs in this conference, middle, FIU that's been struggling. So which of those teams can build the culture and rebuild fastest to be in the mix with the Westerns and the Liberties and now the Sam Houstons of the world? And it's funny how important culture is, because, Jack State and Sam Houston have been winning at the FCS level, and they just they come up and they keep winning. Same thing in the Sun Belt with James Madison and some of these guys. It's like maybe culture is a little more important than your, in the Conference USA, than your 3-star recruit. Maybe all these FCS transfers, maybe they know how to win, and it's a little more important than having, being an inch taller or an inch longer wingspan or 10 pounds heavier or any of the metrics that you measure. But Western looked pretty good. I mean, they looked pretty dominant. I think they always were in control of that game. Up front, UTEP had a 4th and goal. They just got no movement. They tried to run it, no movement at all. And then Western on the other side, you're seeing movement. You're seeing lanes open up. Again, all of these games this midweek seem to be about the trenches, and the winning teams dominated, and it turned into some blowouts.
Yeah, and shout out Corey Wren for UTEP. Had a kick return for a touchdown. Dude was moving on that play. And you talked about building culture, Sprouse, and it's so important, right? Especially in your early years, to set the tone of how you want to be as a coach, how your program's going to be. And it may not look pretty, but what you're doing is you're building that foundation for guys to understand, like, you come in, like, I'm not going to put up with this stuff. And if you don't want to do it my way, there's the door and there's the bench. You can sit your ass down and then eventually get out of here. And I think that's what Walden is wanting to do. And I think that's the right way. Like, you can't cave early to guys and allow certain things to go on, or else it's going to fester and just eventually you're not going to be there very long as a coach. So I'm rooting for those guys. And then on Western side, TJ Finley going down against Middle might have saved Western Kentucky's season, because he just didn't seem like he was understanding the offense, didn't seem like a great fit. And I know it was only a couple games in, but you have to go to Caden Veltkamp. And since they've gone to him, he's really understanding what he's trying to do and what they're trying to do offensively. And he's put up great numbers, 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, did have a pick. But he seems to be the guy. And, they kind of keep Western in that number 2 spot in the conference, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And then I think right below that is where I think Sam Houston's right there. Jack State creeping up right now. It's funny, as you were talking about setting the tone, not to bring up the Power 4, but I find it so funny that how quickly they've turned on Kalen DeBoer in Tuscaloosa.
I know.
Because that now, which for him though, he's got a big moment. His star defensive player had a freaking panic attack in the middle of the field, and everybody's first thought is like, that would have never happened with Nick Saban as head coach, and maybe not. And so that's now he's got that moment, right? Like, are you gonna step in? And then, but it's so funny, all the Bama fans are mad at him because he wore a T-shirt on the sidelines. You see that stuff on Twitter? I mean, just great. We tried to tell you, these people are insane. These people are insane, and if you get one of them that has enough, that's a big enough donor that falls into the trap of caring about things like that, you'll be out of there, buddy. Friday night, we got one game. I'll tell you, UNLV, I talked about Middle every time they're on TV. It's been a bad showing. UNLV has been like the ultimate team for these Thursday and Friday night showcases, because they've looked good every time they've been on. Even in the loss to Syracuse, nobody walked away from that game thinking, boy, UNLV is not very good. Everybody walked away from that game being like, damn, it's a pretty good team. They're 19-point favorites on the road at Utah State. Utah State's averaging 40 points, giving up 40 points a game. UNLV is about to have a field day tonight, I think, Jeff.
I think so too. Excited to see you got 2 of the best receivers in the conference going head-to-head in Ricky White and Jalen Royal. So that's going to be a great matchup. Just not sure that Utah State can hold up, at every position, specifically up front. Worries me a bit, but excited to watch those 2 guys go head-to-head. They're going to try and get both receivers the ball, and just excited to watch this matchup. It's a lot of points, but after UNLV losing the game last week in the way that they did, I could see them coming out kind of like James Madison did, and really, really putting the foot on the gas.
Yeah, and they're what Kyle McCord at Syracuse did to UNLV. I mean, that Syracuse offense, the way they throw it all over the place, is going to be tough for anybody to stop. Now, I'm not saying you got to give up as much as UNLV did, but I think they'll tighten that up against Utah State quite a bit. We got a couple, I don't know if we're calling these Power 4 matchups or we're calling them Pac-12, Mountain Pac, Mountain 2 conference games. You got Washington State at Fresno State. Washington State, I tell you, Washington State's a pretty good club, and Boise, took them to the woodshed, but they're 3.5-point favorites at Fresno. I'll let you take the reins on this, but Mikey Keene, to me, he's almost 1-to-1 touchdowns to interceptions right now this year. And he's kind of been, I hate to say, he's kind of been just mediocre. And I thought he was going to take a big step this year.
Yeah, I thought he was too. And they're not running the ball as effectively as they have been. But Fresno State's a tough place to play. They're at home. Washington State's coming in. You know that stadium's going to be sold out. It's going to be packed. It's basically a pick 'em. I would like to see Fresno State coming off that loss to UNLV. They had the bye week to get healthy, to get hopefully some things straightened out. I think Fresno State gets it done. This is a sneaky pick for me. I just think they play so much better at home. They have the crowd behind them. It's going to be a hostile environment for Washington State, and Fresno State needs a win bad. I think they get it done.
I like that. I am going to pick Washington State here, but I do. I'm rooting for Fresno. Then you got Oregon State. This is surprising to me. Oregon State only -3 at Nevada. Oregon State's 4-1 also now, and Nevada to me is interesting because they've won 2 games against an FCS and a Troy team that hasn't been very good, and then they've lost 4 games, all relatively close to 4 pretty good teams. And so I'm not real sure about Nevada. I don't know. I think Oregon State's a little better. I think it's funny. I think Oregon State and Washington State, this is how poor I think our media and our AP voters and stuff are, is I think if they still had a legitimate Pac-12 patch on their chest, they'd both be ranked teams. They'd absolutely, and the stuff I'm seeing on Twitter is funny because, Boise State, everybody's like, well, they did it to Washington State too. And, Washington State's not Power 4. What's different from a year ago to this year? Absolutely nothing, except for the other teams left the conference. It's just so funny how that narrative goes. But, Anthony Hankerson, running back from Oregon State's having a pretty good year, 9 touchdowns already on the ground. So I think he's going to give Nevada problems.
Yeah, and I'm excited to watch Brandon Lewis. He's been good this year. He's been a bright spot for Nevada. Another big chance to showcase what he can do. A bit of a dual threat kid, but we saw him early on in the season. I think he's been the reason why Nevada is having the success that they've had. An exciting game at home. Why not? Why not, Wolfpack? Go ahead and knock this team off.
I like that.
Knock Oregon State down a peg.
I like that. Moving over to true conference games. That's all we got this week. In the American, UAB going to Army. Man, sorry, UAB, but I think it's going to be rough. I think Army is absolutely rolling right now. I think they'll get that done. Memphis -7 at South Florida. Game moved to Orlando. And shout out to, don't anybody from the Carolinas get worked up about what I'm about to say here. Okay. But shout out to Memphis and South Florida and the administration for adjusting on the fly and coming up with a game plan to play this game. Now, it is a conference game. And also they didn't get as much so far as I think we thought they were going to get as far as storm damage and things like that. But they're going to play that game in Orlando. Memphis, I think, still 7-point favorites. South Florida is better than the 2-3 record that they are. Okay. The problem is they've gotten blown out in all 3 losses that they've played. But again, this is what we talked about preseason. We said that, that they'd be lucky to get out of this little stretch 1-4, 2-3. And so if they lose, they'll be 1-4 in this stretch of Alabama, Miami, Tulane, Memphis. So they got a chance still to win 8 or 9 games, even if they lose, okay, with a bowl game. So fans of South Florida, don't give up on this team, no matter what happens here. And again, you may not, if you lose, okay, you're probably out of the playoff race. If you lose this one, you might be out of the conference championship race. But again, you win 8 or 9 games. It's another improvement from a year ago. And you build momentum. You've got great momentum with facilities, with players, with the coaches. But I think it might be rough for South Florida. But again, which team can be focused, has been able to focus all week long in preparation for this game. But give me Memphis here. I think it should be a pretty good entertaining game, though.
This is going to be a massive game for both teams because which Memphis team are we going to get is always a question. It seems like week to week. But if South Florida can pick up this win, they get UAB, FAU, and South Florida's coming off a bye, off of a tough loss to Tulane. So hopefully you get healthy. Byron Brown gets another week to kind of get his feet back underneath him. But if you can win, if you can beat Memphis, right? You got UAB, FAU, should be 2 games you can win. Then you get Navy, who's the top team in this conference right now. You can knock them off. Then you get Charlotte, Tulsa, and Rice. I mean, this is a pivotal game for South Florida. They still have everything they want right in front of them. If you could win this game, the rest of their schedule looks great for them to get an opportunity, possibly in a rematch against either Tulane or who knows about if Army can run the table the rest of the way. They need this win. And how are they going to respond with playing off-site, with all the things that happened in the storm and in that area? This is going to be a very interesting matchup. I honestly don't know who's going to win this game. This to me is a pick'em. Coming off the bye week, maybe South Florida gets it done. I haven't been sold on Memphis. They have underachieved in my opinion.
Yeah, I do agree with that point, and I always pick South Florida. That's why I'm not going to do it this time.
I'll split. I'll go South Florida then. Bulls get it done.
I'll tell you if Memphis loses here, now they've got 2 conference losses. So boy, does that put Army in the driver's seat, being undefeated in conference with a win already over Memphis. Boy, does that look like a Tulane Army or an Army Navy conference championship game looming. Now the other team in the American that might have something to say about all this is North Texas. And I have a Chandler Morris clinic incoming because FAU, even in they won last week. They beat FCS Wagner College by a lot, but even in the win, Fancher threw a pick. Wiseman come in, he threw a pick. I mean, they just can't quit turning it over. And you ain't gonna be able to do that against North Texas because they're going to capitalize on most of their possessions. So you've got to capitalize. So you can't give them any extras. North Texas, a -5.5, I think they cover that.
I agree.
Then you got UTSA going to Rice. Both teams we were kind of high on. I have no clue. Both teams have underperformed. Winner of this game can kind of get back into it, I guess. I'm going to take UTSA just because. But I don't trust either team right now.
Yeah, which quarterback is going to show up and have a good performance for their team? That's what this, to me, comes down to. Both defenses are underperforming. We both, I was kind of high on Rice's defense, and they hadn't looked great this year. So, yeah, it's a toss-up. Whoever quarterback comes out and plays well, I'll give the edge to Rice because they're at home, and I'll pick against you. But it's not going to be a pretty ball game.
Yeah. Nothing in Conference USA. Everything's been played midweek. Going over to the MAC. Ball State. Look at the MAC. All of the lines are single-digit lines. Most of them 2.5, 3 points. Yeah, you gotta love it. You gotta love the MAC. But Ball State 4.5-point favorites over Kent State. Ball State's gonna probably win that game. Sneaky game, and funny enough, it's the biggest spread of the weekend for the MAC. Is Toledo at Buffalo. I like Toledo here and to win. But I think Buffalo is good enough defensively that they'll be able to stay in this game for a little bit. Sneaky game to me. Toledo on the road at Buffalo, probably not going to be a great environment. Give me Toledo by like 7.
Yeah, I want to take Toledo to cover this, just being the fact that Buffalo's offense is one of the worst in the conference. And Toledo's defense has been pretty good. And they can score. So if I'm looking from a betting standpoint, I think they cover the 9.5. It's just these MAC games, man. It's so hard to predict.
Never know.
You just really never know because Buffalo may come out there at home and show up and play like world beaters. So I'm going to take Toledo to cover in my parlay. But man, these MAC games worry me a little bit.
Yeah, they're so tough. Toss up for me is Miami at Eastern Michigan. Miami's 2.5-point favorites here. You have two not great offenses, to say the least. Then you have two okay defenses. Um, I, you know, give me Eastern Michigan here. Give
I'm
me
in the same
Eastern
boat.
Michigan at home. They've been playing pretty decent. Miami, I haven't watched a ton of Eastern Michigan, to be honest, but man, Miami just frustrates the hell out of me because they should be so much better and they're not, and it's starting to piss me off. So give me the Eagles of Eastern Michigan. By the way, Jeff, what are you going to do when Max Crosby and Devontae Adams leave the
Stop.
Raiders? Have they left already?
Stop. No, they haven't. And, shout out to Max Crosby. He basically called out Michael Lombardi on the Pat McAfee show and was basically like, dude, don't speak for me. I want to be a Raider. He goes, I got this shit tattooed on my arm. Like, this is where I want to be. So if you don't know me and you're not me, like, don't speak about what's going on inside these doors and what's going on in my head. So I love Max Crosby, but hey,
Yeah.
give me the second ranked offense in the conference, Eastern Michigan.
Yeah, I know.
Give it to me, baby. I think they get it done at home.
Yeah,
I'm
second
off
ranked
my-
offense. But Mac,
I'm off the Miami train.
yeah, I know. I am too. I'm just not yet on the Eastern Michigan. And Akron at Western Michigan. Give me Western Michigan there. NIU at Bowling Green. I'm actually surprised Bowling Green is favored here. I think this might be a little bit of a Vegas, little Vegas playing games with us. But I like NIU here. I do like Bowling Green. I think they're a pretty good team. I think they're just below that Toledo NIU tier. I think you have Toledo. I think Toledo right now is in a tier by itself. Then I think you have NIU in a little 1B tier by themselves. And then you have Eastern Michigan, Bowling Green, Ohio, everybody else, I think, in the MAC at that point. But I'll take NIU here.
Yeah, NIU struggled until late against UMass last week. I think Bowling Green gets it done at home. I just think that they're more explosive than NIU's offense. And if Bowling Green can get up early, that's how you beat NIU is get up on them, and they don't have the explosiveness to get back in the game because they're a pound it, and try and play good defense type of team. And if you get up on them early, they have to change the way they play. I just think Bowling Green is talented. You got Harold Fannin Jr. Guys unguardable right now.
Yeah. Ohio Bobcats at Central Michigan. This is a toss-up for me. I don't know. Give me the road favorite in Ohio just for fun.
I'll take the home dog.
Going over to the Mountain West. Here's an interesting one. Colorado State is favored at home against San Jose State. I'm not entirely sure why. To me, Colorado State is just so inconsistent offensively. I don't trust them at all. And I think San Jose State right now, they're right in the mix to win this conference. So I think San Jose State's playing well. They had a big time little comeback rally win last week. Give me the Spartans.
What's funny is I'm over here looking at conference ranking just to see as we go by conference points per game, offense, defense. That we just at the MAC. Toledo's leading it by I think it was like 32.6 points per game. Switch over to Mountain West. 50 points per game, 44 points per game. But yeah, I like the Spartans. I don't really understand this line either. Niumatalolo, shout out to him and what he's been able to do. And
that was nice, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm on it. I work. I practice. I'm in the mirror just saying that to myself. Niumatalolo.
Give me the Spartans. Do you remember where you were? Oh, you had already graduated when we played Navy in that bowl game. I remember we went to like their little the little banquet thing, and they had Roger Staubach and all that stuff. And I'll never forget because this pissed me off too. But it's for fun. If you're a fan of a non-Service Academy team and you go and play a Service Academy team in one of the Service Academy bowl games, get ready for a week-long pep rally for your opponent because, buddy, we got to that banquet and the host of the thing was like calling up the two coaches and he gave some big, hoorah speech about Ken Niumatalolo, and he just perfected his name. And then Rick Stockstill, pretty easy name to pronounce. He was like, Bill Stockwell. And we were like, are you serious, bro? This is a bowl game. Yeah, so pretty poor job by that guy. That was in the Armed Forces Bowl. And then Roger Staubach got up there and spoke for like 20 minutes while a highlight film of himself, like playing it. So I guess they played middle and like whenever the hell Staubach was in college. And it was like a highlight film of himself, like running all over middle. We were like, wow, man, we're here too, you know? Like, jeez. But anyway, staying in the Mountain West, San Diego State at Washington. Another another pick'em game. San Diego State. I'll take San Diego State. Yeah, what did I say? Washington?
Yeah.
So my apologies. I know you only got 2 hours, but I didn't get much either. Trying to watch. I can't. Why do I don't know why I do. You know why I have to stay up and watch these games? Because you just never freaking know.
No, you really
and
don't.
I sit there with my computer and I'm putting in notes because I try to, like, if a play happens that I think swings momentum, I put it in like, okay, you know, third quarter, 6 minutes to go. This happened. This is when the game flipped or whatever. And so I just never know. But then, you know, last week kind of scared me a little bit about these teams coming back on everybody. And so I don't know. So now I got to sit there and put myself through the punishment of watching the Blue Raiders get smacked around by Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
Bludgeoning. There was bludgeonings all over the United States last night. But San Diego State at Wyoming. Give me San Diego State. Give me Marquez Cooper to have a decent little game on the ground. I cannot believe we are at a point in time when the Air Force Falcons are touchdown underdogs to New Mexico, Jeff. And I hate to say it, I think New Mexico is going to cover this.
I think they are too.
I like that quarterback at New Mexico. He's a problem.
Yeah.
You get a guy like that to go to an academy. That's when you have a real problem. But I can't believe it. We got to get Jason Cons. We got to get Captain Jason Cons.
We got to get him
Maybe
on
it's
here,
major.
man.
I think it's Major Cons at this point.
Yeah,
we got to get him on, see what the hell's happening in Colorado Springs right now.
Yeah, Devin Dampier, man. Shout out to him. He's done a great job for the Lobos.
Yeah, he sure has. And I do love this, Jeff. I love an 11 p.m. Eastern kickoff time. Boise State at Hawaii. 3 touchdown favorites. Can Genty continue to do what he's doing on the island, off the mainland? A little bit of travel hiccups, maybe. Can he keep doing it? I love the fact that the national media is finally acknowledging this, what he's doing. And I mean, I don't see who is going to stop him. I mean, we just got to pray he stays healthy, man.
Yeah.
We got to pray he stays healthy. And I will admit that I am rooting for Boise State maybe the rest of the way because I want to see them in the playoff and I want to see them. They, I think, have a good chance to have a home first round game, if not a bye in the first round. If they win out, if they went out with their only loss, a touchdown loss to Oregon on the road, and, you know, Oregon right now sitting at number 3. We'll see what they do this weekend too. But there's no reason that's not a team that's better than 12. So you'd have to be 8 to be a home team.
I hope if we get to that point and Boise is the Mountain West winner and they'll have that win-loss, that we get the bias against the group of 5. I don't want the bye, selfishly. I want a home game on the Smurf turf because that place will be rocking. It'll be cold. You'll have a physical game with Genty running the ball like 29 times. I mean, come on, give me that.
To me, Jeff.
Give it to me. I'm on. I mean, we've been on Genty, you know, and shout out to the Boise faithful who put us on, 2 years ago now? And the mainstream media is just now getting on him, and because there's no denying his greatness, give it to me. Give me a December home game in Boise, and the group of 5 guys will be in attendance.
Yeah, hey, well,
mark it.
You know, the only thing I don't like about that is it's going to be so cold. but I do like the fact because, boy, wouldn't it be something if you got the mighty SEC going to Boise, Idaho.
They want no
on
part
a
of
cold January night. Oh, Jeff, that's the 6th love language. Did you know that?
I did not. What, a cold night in Boise?
Yeah, cold night in Boise. Yeah, 5. You know, I think you have a physical touch. You know, time and all that stuff.
Sounds like a
6-1 is
documentary, A Cold Night in Boise.
Cold night in Boise. A cold 48 hours in Boise, Idaho. I'll tell you what, man. That we need that. We need that bad.
Need it.
But again, I don't want to put it past the UNLVs of the world,
No.
Armies, Navies, Tulanes of the world that are still in this thing too, because any of those places would be awesome. Would be awesome for a home playoff game. But I think Boise's the only one right now that has a real chance at getting a home game. So that's why I'm a little bit rooting for them. But I think that, I think they win. I think they cover. Genty may do that by himself. Genty may do that by himself after contact, the way he's running right now. But moving on to the Sun Belt. Old Dominion at Georgia State, 1.5. 1.5 points is perfect because Old Dominion plays everybody to 1.5 point line. I have no idea who's going to win it. Give me Georgia State at home. Old Dominion is having one of those seasons where they're playing everybody close and they're just not winning them. Last year they won a couple of the close ones. This year they're not. But give me Georgia State here.
I'm just going to go to ODU simply because they're on the road and they seem to not be able to win their home games. Maybe they can snag a road win in Atlanta.
Southern Miss at ULM. Sneaky game here. Southern Miss has not been very good. ULM is everybody's patting them on the back for the first time in a decade. Everybody's telling them how great they are. Now, here's a perfect example, and I'm interested to see this. This game's on ESPN Plus, so I'm going to have to pull out the phone to do it. James Madison takes the loss to ULM. They come back home, and their stadium's rocking. Monroe, Louisiana should be electric for this game. I don't think it's going to be. That's a challenge for the people of Monroe, for the Duck Dynasty family. Where are they at? Where's the Duck Dynasty family with NIL money for the Warhawks? That's my question. Are they giving the players free duck calls? What are we doing in Monroe? Because I need to see this place electric. Southern Miss, it's sneaky to me, Jeff. I think Monroe's going to win because I'm really rooting for Coach Vincent down there. But I am nervous about this. This is the recipe. You show up. There's nobody. There's going to be you're excited. You think your fans are backing you. You come out of the tunnel and you're like, all the dopamine you're excited about just crashes hard. It's like you've drank 3 energy drinks and then by 2 p.m. you're crashing. That's what the players are going to get when they walk out of that tunnel. And I'm a little nervous about it.
The thing is, I think they're used to not having much support. So I don't think they're going to be shocked or surprised. And I think Southern Miss has some real issues on their football team. I hope ULM shows up. I want to see them 5-1. I want to see them have some big games down the stretch in the West and have a chance at it. They deserve it.
I'll tell you, I wouldn't mind going to Monroe for a Sun Belt title game if that occasion happened. Arkansas State at Texas State. I don't think Texas State's going to cover this 14, Jeff. I think they're going to win the game. They might win it by 13, might win it by 12, but 14's a lot of points. Arkansas State played pretty well last week. Jalen Raynor's been looking okay. Texas State, back in the win column, back looking like the Texas State we thought they were. But I think this is a little bit sneaky too. Give me Texas State for the win, but not to cover.
I think they're close to a sellout. Last I saw in San Marcos. So, I think Texas State is due for a big game, and maybe it happens against Arkansas State. Crowd's going to be rocking. Get up early and make a statement. Make a statement that you're still a top team in this conference, and I think they get it done. I think they cover.
Really? App State at Louisiana. Louisiana's 10.5 point favorites. Give me the Cajuns to win it. Hate it for App. I think it could get out of hand for them this year.
Not betting on this game, staying away from it. I just don't know. I'm still I have this pocket of hope that the team we thought App State was going to be is going to show up offensively and defensively, and they just haven't yet. Hard to beat Louisiana at home. I'm not sure about the 10.5, but I think Louisiana gets it done. Terry's not going to like that though.
No, Terry wants everybody to keep. Terry, I don't know what he wants. He's starting to get a little, be one of those fans. I think he's doing it on purpose. But yeah, Cajuns still rolling. What do the Cajuns got to do for Terry to be on board? You know what I mean?
After the season, they win a bowl game.
After they win, I think they got to win the conference for him. I think they could go all the way, and then they could lose to James Madison or somebody in a conference championship, and he'd be like, same old Cajuns.
I knew it. He'd be like, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, I knew it. I've been telling you all year. Speaking of all year, this is the game of the year for me in the Sun Belt Conference, and this is gonna be something else. Marshall at Georgia Southern, whiteout down in Statesboro. This is an 8 p.m. Eastern kickoff time, so they are going to be liquored and lathered up in Statesboro. I mean, by that time the kickoff starts, I hope they stay because the Blue Room is very enticing about 10:30 p.m. Third quarter, fourth quarter. But you students better stay, damn it, because you got a great ball. You got a damn good ball club. You got a damn good ball club, but Marshall's a damn good ball club coming in too. It's kind of contrasting styles of play here. Georgia Southern's going to try to throw it all over the place. Marshall, you're going to try to kind of out physical everybody. Quarterback's going to run it a bunch. Whew. You know, Jeff, I love the people of Statesboro, but I want to be right about Marshall. And I'm going to take Marshall on the road to go down there. I think that defense is going to travel a little bit. The quarterback running it around is going to be an issue for Georgia Southern's defense. Sorry, Lenny B. Sorry, Josh. Sorry, everybody. I'm taking the Herd. I like the Herd a lot, Jeff. You know I've been high on the Herd.
You have been
since the preseason. I like them. Give me Marshall.
They've been flying under the radar, and they've been one of the bright spots in this Sun Belt East. But you know what, Sprouse? I've liked what I've seen so far from Mr. J.C. French.
I have too.
And outside of giving up, a ton of points to Ashton Ginty, I've been saying this defense is better than what they've shown. And I think now's the time that they need to step it up and be that. And if French protects the ball, Statesboro is going to be cracking. I think Georgia Southern gets it done, and that leads to a massive game next week with James Madison coming into Statesboro. Give me
might have to borrow your private jet for that one, Jeff.
I'll see how much they rent it out for. Somebody, Lenny B, you want to help us get down to Statesboro next weekend if you get a win against Marshall?
Yeah, that'll be a big time ball game if they get by the Herd of Marshall. That's all the games we have. Jeff, do we have voicemails today?
We do. We got three.
Three voicemails, guys. Love the Friday morning voicemails. The only thing I like better is the Monday morning after game voicemails. So you guys keep calling that hotline. Call Saturday night, late night, or Sunday morning, whenever before the Monday show with your reaction from your game. 615-900-4286. See what we got, Jeff.
Group of 5 guys. What's up? Long-time listener since fall of 21. A first-time caller. I've been so nervous to do it. But I'm just going to power through this first time, and hopefully, as I get better, the confidence will start coming out. Honestly, part of the reason I haven't called is because as a Charlotte 49er fan, there has been nothing good to talk about. But I'm sure you guys saw what happened in Jerry Richardson Stadium this past weekend. I still am personally in shock. I thought we were going to get beat down by those Pirates, who, by the way, came in this game. So, big brother, we'll never be at your level, blah, blah, blah. Oh, big stadium. You know what that big stadium got you? 2 straight L's 2 years in a row. And this was a beatdown. Anyway, just wanted to call, express my excitement, let you guys know that the Charlotte 49er fans are excited about this team. 3-3. The 2-0 in conference. Couple other things. I wanted to ask, what would you define as success for us this year? This is part of the thing I find so funny listening to the show. When I hear Liberty fans call in and be like, oh my God, only 9 wins. Oh, what an absolute meltdown that would be. You would get multiple statues across campus if you somehow got 9 wins here at Charlotte. For me, I would say 5 wins. 2 more would be a success. just because this upcoming schedule is brutal. Navy, Memphis, Tulane, and South Florida are our next 4. If we can somehow steal one there, I like our chances in the final 2 games. But yeah, it's just nice to, go into the game next week. We got a bye. Going in the next game about Navy, I think we have a chance. I don't think we will, but we have a chance of winning this game. Anyway, looking forward to watching some James Madison tonight against Coastal, a couple other good games. Hopefully Middle pulls out a dub for you guys. Happy for Monroe, my fellow basement dwellers. Awesome for them. And yeah, that's pretty much all I had. Go Niners, go Group of 5 guys. God bless. Bye, guys.
Appreciate you, man.
Great call.
We don't get a lot of Charlotte.
What are you nervous about?
Yeah, fantastic. Didn't get your name though, or your Twitter handle.
Didn't get, and Charlotte's one of those places. We met a lot of people in Charlotte.
We did.
So hopefully that's somebody that we met along the way.
Love Charlotte.
Buddy, could you imagine a Biff Poggi statue in the deep V sleeveless shirt?
Jeez.
I mean, right there on that little, right there by where the Normulance tailgates.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would be electric.
I think
I
think an absolute success, of a season would be, they got a tough stretch ahead. If you can get to bowl eligibility, that'd be a huge accomplishment. Well,
and the good part about a bowl game for a team that's trying to build is that extra, could be a month of practice.
Mm-hmm.
And then just momentum. I mean, you look at South Florida last year, right? They won 7 games, but they won the bowl game, and that propelled them into like this preseason. They're going to be a playoff team, and that hasn't really lived up to that expectation. But the momentum going into the offseason, what that can create if you go to a bowl game and especially win a bowl game is special. You win 5 games, it's a decent year, but then, I mean, you're going to go, there's a month left of the season, 2 months left of the season, and you're not playing. And that's where you kind of can lose some of that momentum.
That's right. Well, let's get to our next one. Another guy that didn't leave a name, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey guys, this is Steve from Raleigh, North Carolina.
No,
Just
Steve.
you a call. Appreciate your show so much. Having gone to a G5 school with a lot of big state schools there as well, I appreciate the information. I remember back in the day having to look at the bottom of the state-owned paper for little tidbits of news and stuff like that, and you guys doing a great job. I'm a Liberty fan, have been for season ticket holder for years and everything, and I just love everything going on up there, what they've been doing. I appreciate the mission they have and all that, and it's been great to see the football program blossom the way it is. The one thing I think that I'd like you guys to address, if you could, is the abolition of the 85 scholarship rule. It doesn't really bother me that all these big conferences want to go together and do all that and everything, because you'd still be on somewhat equal playing field as far as the recruits that you could get. But with the advent of the 85 scholarship rule back in the late 70s, early 80s, you couldn't have the big schools hoard all this talent. They could only have so many scholarships out there. So some good players actually went to smaller schools because they knew they wouldn't sit on the bench. We had, in the state of North Carolina, UNC would many times take some of the best players to keep some of the other schools from getting them. And it's maybe advantageous for them, but it hurts the players, because I went to a school where an all-state tailback went to Carolina and languished on the bench for 3 years, didn't get a chance to play. Where if he'd have went to an East Carolina or some smaller school, he would have got a chance to flourish, I believe. And what they're actually doing with this rule is they're taking 1,400. Now I'm saying that's 105 scholarships that they're proposing for the big schools. And you're saying 70 schools are going to be in this, whatever it is, this cabal of the big schools. That's 1,400 really good players that are going to go sit on these big schools' benches. Some will be smart enough to figure it out, but if you have big schools like bigger schools in the state like Carolina or State or UVA or Virginia Tech, they can, they're going to lie during recruit. Oh, sure, you're going to get starts, you're going to get to play, you're going to get to do all that and everything. But there's 1,400 students that are not going to be, or players that aren't going to be available for your G5 schools coming right out of college. And I don't think that any time has really been spent on that. They're talking about the money differentiation and all that. But one thing that has been able to keep the smaller schools competitive is the 85.
And he got cut off there. 3-minute time limit, so try and keep it under that. I think what he's trying to get to is, if they drop the scholarships down and what they're talking about doing, and I had some conversations with people last night, they're fully fund 85 scholarships. Now, what they're going to talking about doing is allowing them to take, when revenue sharing goes into effect, is yes, the university is going to fund 85 scholarships or whatever that number is. Now the coach can decide what he wants to do with that money. So he can basically essentially fund, 50 of those scholarships to players and then take the rest of that money and do with what they want. Because if you think about it, the number that I was told was they think about 58 players really is the number that actually get on the field and affect the game. So if you fund 58 full scholarships on a football team, you have that additional 28, 27, times the dollar amount of that scholarships. And now you can use that money to pay extra to certain players. Which is going to be, I think, allow the group of 5 to be more competitive in that landscape. And then he was also talking about, when they have the break of the revenue sharing, where you have basically the schools that are, I think the number is like 23 million and above that they can fund and 23 million and below. Yeah. What's the transfer rules going to be? Is it going to be the same where you can transfer in the transfer portal window and get out? Or are you locked into that upper tier, I guess, of revenue shares and you're not allowed to cross over? I don't know that. I haven't heard anybody really talk about that.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I do think there right now, the way it stands right now, you could have this scenario where you might not even put a kid on scholarship, but you got enough NIL money that you could just pay him. You know what I mean? Like you could use that. I think that's what they're doing at Florida with that McLean kid, the corner. He's technically a walk-on, but he's like, let's not pretend he's not getting school paid for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know how much that kid plays, but I guess it comes to the question, like, if you're only 11 can play at a time, let's say you fully have offense, defense, special teams, that's 33. Then you have, your second wave of backups that come in. I mean, that 58 number sounds about right of people that actually affect the game. It kind of
you got 53 in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of sucks from a standpoint of a guy that didn't, fully had a full scholarship. And I think quarterbacks would be safe probably in that 58 number, but I don't know. It's like, how many do you really need to have on? Do you need 85? Probably not. And you can take that money and do with it what you want. I don't know. It's
especially if you get guys. I mean, hell, you look at UNLV and you got your best players playing on all the special teams and Ricky White. So you start putting your best players, make them play special teams. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's even 58. It's probably realistically it's less than that. But then you get injuries and stuff. So, I mean, you probably need to be. I don't know. You probably need to be 3 deep at most of your spots. You probably on the O-line you probably can get away with having like 10 or 11 and then just having a bunch of them as you can play all of them. Yeah. That's what a lot of coaches will do. We don't have necessarily a backup left tackle, a backup left guard. We have like a 6th guy that'll go play all of them if somebody gets
Swiss
hurt.
Army knife.
So I think you'll see that. I know some of these defensive guys better get in better shape because D-line can't rotate. That'll probably be where you see it a little bit. The guys that rotate a bunch, defensive line, wide receivers, you're going to have to play a lot more.
That's the thing is it depends on the coach and what he deems valuable. If he deems the defensive line to be valuable, you're going to have more scholarship players in that grouping. Now, if I don't know. There's so many things in this next year that's going to change.
I know.
We're going to have a lot to talk about in the offseason. More content for us. But
Yeah.
let's get to our last.
Tell me where to be.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get to our last caller. This was a pregame Steeple PC.
Oh,
Steeple
no.
Daddy.
Steeple. Oh,
call.
no.
Let's get to it.
Better get the post game now.
Hey, Group 5 guys, how you doing? Steeple_PC_51, a.k.a. Steeple Daddy. First off, I want to give a shout-out to them JMU, Mr. Chuck, Charles, the only one that seemed reasonable about the JMU team schedule, play performance, whatever. Well, I only have one thing to say to him, is that I would like to see you analyze this ass cut y'all gonna take tonight. Unfortunately, I have to go to my son's football game, which not unfortunately, I like going. But probably miss most of it. But of course the family is going, hey family. Hello. That was my daughter. My wife, she's shy. Anyway, this is the pre-call before the game. I'm not hungry, so I don't think I'll be eating any crow after this. I told you, and Sprouse, I'm utterly surprised at you. Once again, you are denying the fact that Coastal Carolina is one of the top teams in the Sun Belt as far as the Group of 5. But you will see tonight. We are for real. We are dead serious. And then, after JMU had that huge loss to ULM, and they're going to follow up with another ass whooping from Coastal. Man. Hey. So sweet. Anyway, love the Group of 5. Love the Group of 5 guys. Love the Sun Belt. Go Sharks.
Sharks up. Sharks up.
Steeple Daddy. We're going to need
The
that
Steeple
post-game
family.
call.
Yes, we are, my friend. And the only reason I pick Coastal because you picked James Madison.
I think
and
so.
I thought it was going to be the other way around, and I was going to pick James Madison. That's why I should have went with my gut, not my heart, but I did it just for Steeple. Boy, that had to be his daughter laughing at him when
100% it was.
Steeple Daddy. That was like one of those moments where she was probably like, "What?" like you've never called. You know what I mean? Like she had no idea he called himself that. Love the Steeple family though.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And and he's saying he's going to his son's football game. Like, let's not blow it. Let's not say that he's not going to an NFL game. Okay,
Yeah,
that's his son's a damn good player. Love the Steeple family. We got a chance to meet, I think, all of them when we went to Coastal last year. But that's great stuff. We need the post game call because that crow. I hope you're hungry.
I hope you're hungry now.
Because after that call, you better get a plate full, my friend. Oh man, love it. Well, that's all we got, Jeff.
That's it.
You guys keep calling that hotline 615-900-4286. We got a big weekend. We're going to finally all conference games now, pretty much the rest of the way. This thing's going to start shaping up. Right now you might see, I probably think there's 6 teams left that have a real playoff shot. Might get somebody come out of nowhere that's got a shot at it. Might see somebody that you think is the favorite lose a couple games and put themselves out of it. So it's going to get real fun right now. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for hanging out. Jeff, thanks for waking up or not even sleeping or whatever. I tell you, this is like, you guys don't know this. There's a lot of times like when we go to these games and it's an 7 or 8 o'clock kickoff and we got flights back home that leave at like 6 a.m. We just fight it. We just stay up. Sometimes we're prepping for the show at 3 a.m. before we go to the airport. I mean, so yeah,
guys,
whoever's got the private jet,
we're trying to do our best on this thing. Get this thing, take it to new heights.
Whoever's got the wheels up connection or the private jet connection that's looking to, I don't care if you're looking to do a big tax write-off and sponsor the group of 5 guys to get us traveling. You RV dealerships looking to give $100,000 tour bus out as a tax write-off. You got a couple candidates right here, But you guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit the follow button on all the socials at Group of 5 Guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, the Varsity app. Download that for free. Listen to the show on there. Most important thing you can do as you're watching these games, tell your family and friends. You go to these parties. I know they're going to try to put on the Ohio State-Oregon game or these other games this weekend. Tell them. Go to the sports bar. Tell them what game you want to watch. Don't settle for this crap. Stand on business like our boy Juice's call from last week or from Wednesday. I'm a Tulane fan. I don't care that you guys want to watch LSU. Put that damn game on this TV. That's what we need. We need everybody to start doing that, and we'll realize the market that we have and the fans that we have in the group of 5. Hope you guys have a great Friday. Hope you guys have a great weekend. We will see you Monday morning.